You're listening to the Franchise Freedom Podcast with Giuseppe Grammatico.
Okay, and welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Giuseppe Grammatico, your franchise guide, and today we are going solo once again. By request, I've been getting a lot of questions with people maybe struggling about deciding if they want to go into business ownership, and they ask me, "Hey, Giuseppe, what is your what did your journey look like? What made you go from working a great corporate job to owning a business?" So wanted to share my personal journey with you from W-2 to employer. And it all started with, I worked in the Italian restaurant industry with my family. Loved that business, except the hours. The hours were nights, weekends, and holidays. And loved the social aspect, loved especially the food. The food was quite amazing. But just the hours, it wasn't going to work with my lifestyle, especially with the family, growing my family and just being around. So we didn't get to see my father growing up as much as we'd like. So, wanted something that I was going to be around a lot more often. So, not being sure, I went to college, first person to go to college in my family, and loved it, got my undergrad, eventually my graduate degree, to find out that I just did not enjoy working for large companies. I was in the investment world, and money was great, got to travel, a lot of perks and things like that. But at the end of the day, felt like I was a number. And I always say I would take a bus, and it was about a 5 hour door to door kind of round trip commute. And I looked at some of the passengers on the bus and would ask them, does this get any better? And they would tell me, well, the commute was roughly half. Now that, the area was getting more and more populated, the commute doubled. So things were getting worse, and they didn't look happy. They were up bright and early at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. And I said, boy, if I don't make a change, I'm going to be on this bus looking just as miserable, unfortunately, as they were. And it's not a knock against them. It's not the path. It's not what I wanted to do. So I needed to make a change. And my wife and I, planning on starting a family. And I said, you know what, a 5 hour commute, I was not going to see my kids. Why am I telling you all this? It is all about your why. What is your burning desire to truly own a business? Is it, people tell me to make more money. Well, yes, we all want to make more money, but what is the true why? What are you trying to truly accomplish? And, for me, it was more than financials, was time. And that's to spend as much time at the time, my why is my family, growing family. So spending time together. So I needed, where I was at and where I want to be, there was that gap, and I needed to figure out that vehicle. And, that gap was really the time, where I wanted to be was have that more time and not have that long commute. So, work with a franchise coach that I found online, and work with a business coach as well to figure out that I like systems in place, things built out. I wasn't the creative type to start things from scratch. And we figured out a franchise was a good fit, but it's not a good fit for everyone. This is my personal journey, but I wanted something that I could go to training and start immediately, creating revenue, or I should say as soon as possible, 30 to 90 days. And I had that opportunity to go to training. As soon as I finished training, second day, owning that business, we closed our first account. It was a very, very small account, but we were generating revenue by literally the second. So going into the third day of the business, and this is not the norm or what people should expect, although a very small account, but it was very exciting. Those wins start to add up. But my point in that is that, there are various vehicles. We talked about the gap in between where you are and where you want to be. And there's various vehicles, and, business ownership, gives you that ability to really, make money and create that time freedom. And maybe it's not creating the time freedom in the very beginning, as there's a learning curve and you're learning the business and the system and things like that. And if there's a retail location, brick and mortar, you're finding your location, you're finding your employees, and some businesses are going to require more employees than others. So, fast forward 6 months to 12 months, but the goal is really to have the business operate without you, minimal involvement while you're working on the business. And a franchise truly gives you that unfair advantage of being able to start ASAP, get trained and ready to go. Nothing against a startup, but a startup is going to take more time as you're figuring out the systems and things like that. So it's really figuring out, do you get the value proposition of a franchise, or do you prefer that startup or any other vehicle to get you there? And it's okay to own multiple vehicles and have passive investments, own franchises, own real estate, Airbnb rentals, you name it. It is okay to have more than one. I encourage you to diversify where you can, but it all starts with one decision. And the other question I get is, well, why did I start full-time? Why did I quit my job? And should I quit my job? And again, it is all about you and your situation and what you want to kind of produce and how quickly you want to produce results. And for me, I had the luxury of my wife working. So we were able to really cut back our expense. We saved for quite a bit as we were planning this for years, and we put some money aside. So my wife continued to work while I ran the business, but I wanted instant results. I wanted to be full-time in the business. And I just, to be honest, didn't want to be at the job anymore and that long commute. So I dove in full-time, quit my job, had some people kind of question what the heck I was even doing. And years later, I'm getting phone calls from some of my colleagues or people, same company I work with, asking if I can help them, either have a side hustle, a side business, or leave the job eventually. So my point is, it's all about the right fit for you. You can absolutely, as long as it's a good fit for the franchise, and there are certain franchises that allow this, keep your job and run the business on the side up until the point where you can maybe leave your job. So you have plenty of options, but just keeping in mind, if you work with someone like myself, we can figure out which of those franchises that allow that. Some will require you to be full-time involvement. In other cases, a semi-absentee is fine. So anyway, fast forward, going on almost close to 20 years, owned businesses, sold businesses. I help people find and invest in franchises and figure out if franchising is a great fit. So it's a truly fulfilling job. Love what I do, and I'm able to assist people. So going back to the actual business now, finding, once you figure out, okay, I'm going to do this full time, or I'm going to keep my job, you really need to spend time thinking about one of the most important things, and it's the role you're going to play in the business. So, not so much does the business sell food? Does it offer massages? Does it offer business coaching? It's really what your role is going to be in the business. And we'll review things like skill set. So what is your skill set? What do you enjoy doing? Do you enjoy managing large numbers of people? Are you just a natural salesperson that loves going, business to business with your service or product offering? So other characteristics to think about, and that I work with and we spend a lot of time on, is where do you want to be located? Is your business, number one, physically located somewhere in the state you live in? Or are you kind of running it from home, and your employees and your contractors, are they going directly to the homeowner or directly to the business? And we talk about, what that, obviously a brick and mortar location will have a higher investment because now you're considering build outs, and it's going to push a time frame out because now you're going to have to build out a location, but that's fine. 6 to 12 months is kind of an average range, give or take. I've seen it take longer, and I've seen it take less than 6 months, but finding the right location, finding the right contractor and the build out. So these are things to think about. Again, full-time versus semi-absentee, the territory and the investment, just like buying a home, you need to figure out what is a comfortable investment. So cash injection and total investment, two different things. I know people get a little confused with that. Cash injection means, what are you physically taking out of your bank account to invest in this business? So for example, if it's a project cost of $500,000 and you look at an SBA loan and they require 30%, so it's $150,000 cash injection, so money out of your pocket, out of savings and investments or wherever the money comes from, and then taking a loan for $350,000. That's just one example of a traditional SBA loan. There's also retirement rollovers. If you qualify using retirement assets for that, you can even take loans out on your investments, your non-retirement accounts. So there's plenty of options, but just like anything else, you need to figure out a comfortable range and what vehicles, what options, I should say, you'd be comfortable with, because some people may say, yeah, whatever, I'm open to whatever to keep the costs low. Well, some people are just not as comfortable investing their retirement money, so they would rather just get a loan and pay that off over time. So again, not right or wrong, but what is the right fit for you? And I say this over and over on my podcast, in the book, in the webinar, and all my coaching calls. We talk about, don't worry about what everyone else is doing. We need to figure out the right fit for you. Characteristics, passion comes up a lot. And I've talked about this before. I did a blog on this. I did a video on this, and I'll keep this one brief. But I think there's nothing wrong with passion, but what is the true passion? Is the passion the underlying service or business offering of the actual business, or is the passion, what you're trying to get out of it? So my passion is, I love watching. I'm a big soccer fan. I'm a big foodie. We love trying pizza from all over. As a family. So, that passion, those are my passions. My passion necessarily is not what my business may produce, but, what the business will provide back to me. So because of my last business, I was able to have a team in place. I didn't have to go into the office every day. I would do just a weekly meeting and check in via email. It allowed me to become a soccer coach and never miss one of my son's games. Coach my daughter as well, briefly. In her soccer team. So it provided me a lot of the things that were really important to me. And the passion was, going back to my why, my family, spending time together, traveling, trying new foods and things like that. So I look at a business as what vehicle, what system is out there that can help me create the lifestyle that I'm looking for. So I think people spend a lot of time and get stuck in this spot. And, they look at the franchise that offers the thing they're passionate about, like golfing, like they like a food, they love a certain food and they want to buy a franchise in that space, to find out, well, you're not sitting there eating all day or playing golf all day. If you're in a golf related franchise, odds are it's probably retail, and you are, open long hours, nights, weekends. You may have some turnover with help and a large number of staff, large numbers of inventory. So these are things to really look at when you dissect a business. So that's why, in our process, we just reverse engineer, just like my coach did 20 years ago, or whatever the amount of time it's been forever. But what does my life look like? What does the business look like? Not talking about the product or service, and then let's see what's out there. Because if you reverse engineer and figure out where you want to be, it's much simpler to narrow in on 2 or 3 franchises. Again, adding in all those characteristics versus, let's look at a Subway franchise. Nothing wrong with a Subway franchise, but taking a look at it and saying, there's a lot more employees. I would rather have 4 or 5 employees. I may need 20 employees, hypothetically, for that business. And now I am constantly compromising and saying, okay, well, I'll suck that one up. I don't mind those employees. And then they're open nights and weekends. Well, I'll suck that up too. And now all of a sudden you've compromised, and now you have a business that's completely different than what you thought your ideal business was. So did another show on making any decision in life and reverse engineering the process. Where do you want to be? Don't get overwhelmed. This is, again, another place where people get stuck. Don't get overwhelmed figuring out the franchise you want. Figure out what your life is. You have the pen, or in my case, the pencil, and figuring out, jotting exactly what life looks like. Where are you working? Where are you living? What are you doing on a daily basis? The hours, the atmosphere, the employees, and all that. You get to draw exactly what you want, and then figure out, okay, how do we get there? Is there a franchise that could give me all my wants and check off the boxes of the things I don't want? And if yes, what are those businesses out there? What are those franchises? And guys, I tell you, as we just got back from our conference in St. Louis a few weeks ago, there's literally a franchise for everyone, every investment level, 75 plus industries, 4,000 plus franchise companies in the United States alone. There's literally things from porta potty to pet waste removal, dumpsters, business coaching, haircut franchises, to your food, your boutique fitness, to eyelash extensions, you name it, eyebrows. The list goes on and on. Massages. So there's literally a franchise in every industry, but it's figuring out what you want to accomplish. What does the ideal business look like? And that's what I did. So in my case, my business was a business that can create freedom for me. I can put together systems in place so that people were empowered to make these decisions. So I was not being pulled in left and right. And it took a little time to set them up. But once we found the right team, business was great. Business was growing. I wasn't in the office every single day. And then because systems are in place, as each of the employees hit a capacity, whether that be sales or operations, we were able just to increase those team members and grow the company that way, as opposed to having a large staff. You just grow kind of with the business. So my business also, coming out and seeing, actually right prior to the recession, 07, 08, and the downfall in the economy, we wanted something as recession resistant as possible. So we really focused in on businesses around healthcare and things like that to be able to service them. And that was big in helping us get through that time. So I wanted something, something as recession resistant as possible, but also had an annuity. So I knew that I was billing X amount every month. And, looking back over those years, I would not say that would be a priority, the annuity and the billing every month. It was something that was important to me at the time. And guess what? Things change. And maybe that first business looks more like an annuity membership model. And the second business is more larger ticket, where maybe it's offering large painting, high-end painting services or handyman services or restoration services. So, you can always, kind of change what you're looking for. But I also wanted a business that had revenue streams that I can also bolt on down the road additional franchises. So if I owned a painting service, I bolt on a handyman service. And if I own a handyman service, maybe I can bolt on a roofing service, because handyman is smaller jobs, and that roofing, you're going to want something more specialized. So these are the things, in my journey and the things I talked about with my coach that I wanted to bring up to you. Competition is a big one. And if you get the value proposition of a franchise, they're going to have that solid system in place. Just in my previous episode, we talked about franchises kind of stepping up and creating recruitment, executive recruitment, or just, I should say, recruitment departments, helping to find maybe your 1099 contractors for the work and your W-2 office employees or your staff and things like that. So franchises have definitely stepped up, want you to be as profitable as possible, adding additional revenue streams so that you're not buying another franchise. Maybe you're investing a little bit in training and equipment, but you can add some add-on. But ultimately, competition is always going to be there, but really stressing the idea of having the proper mindset that I'm going to make this decision. This is the life I want and the life of my dreams. I'm making that decision to move forward, whether it's full-time or part-time. I'm making that decision, and it's going to work no matter what. And having that correct mindset versus, well, what happens if it doesn't work? What happens in this day? Yes, you want to be prepared, but the mindset is that you're not worried about what your competition's doing. You're worried about doing the best job you can do, servicing your clients and your customers the best you can, and offering them the best customer experience. As mistakes will be made, but it's how you go about rectifying those mistakes and treating your customers, which is the things they're going to remember down the road. So, that is my journey. I've owned businesses, both franchise and non-franchise, for the last 20 years or so, and wouldn't change it for the world. Love what those vehicles have afforded us. I put it right into my website. I help corporate execs experience time and financial freedom. And that's what I've experienced. I have a lot more time. I get to work from home. Financially, we've been able to afford, the things that we've always wanted, and being able to set aside money for retirement and things like that. So truly enjoyed what I've learned along the way. It's all, you're always learning things and getting to talk with like-minded individuals. And I always say, when we had our national conferences, it was almost like going to, it's a mastermind group where, yes, we're all in the same industry, but people are coming from various backgrounds, from corporate to family businesses to just about every industry. So it's nice to share ideas of what's working, and great minds together, come up with some great ideas and strategies. So truly enjoyed it and love sharing my journey. Not everyone's journey is the same, and I maybe tend not to talk about it as much because I like to find out about you and figure out what's best for you and what does that journey look like. So, if this was helpful in a way, let me know. Leave me a message if you need some assistance in figuring out if, just in general, if a business may be the right fit, or is a franchise the right fit. Let us know. We would love to help out as much as possible. One thing I forgot to mention was even, with funding, the various funding options, and having a budget, just like buying a home. These are things you need to kind of figure out, because why look at $1 million franchise when you can't, you only have funding for maybe 50,000 or 100,000. So, we help along the way, questions, concerns. We'll meet you where you're at. Sometimes the interest level is there and you're ready to go, but the funding isn't there. So let's put together a plan, put you in front of a funding partner, and maybe you need $50,000 liquid to move forward with the franchise, and you're halfway there. No problem. Let's put together a plan. Could you save X amount per month? And let's talk in 6 months. So again, here to help in any way possible. I ask one favor. And, this helps me out tremendously. But if you like the show, please share this with someone that may be able to benefit. Either share it on your social, share it via email, like, comment. That all helps with the algorithm, if I can say the word, and people finding us. But even if it goes to one person and we can help one person, the cost, again, no cost. The franchise companies will pay our fee in order to help them find some great franchisees. So, love to help, love to continue conversation of my journey. If this resonates with you, maybe you're in the same situation, corporate wise, but you're looking for a different type of business. Great. We're able to assist everyone. And if the timing isn't right, as I mentioned, we put together an action plan and speak in the very near future. So guys, again, thank you for the support. We had our second best month, total downloads. Been getting a lot of comments and questions, which is going to help create some future shows. So if you have also topics for shows and ideas, let me know. Would love to talk about it. And again, thanks for the idea for this show. Looking forward to connecting, looking forward to meeting with you and helping you create and figure out that next vehicle. Take care, everyone. And let's talk soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in. Whenever you're ready, here are 3 ways Giuseppe can help. 1. If you've ever considered owning a business of any kind, you owe it to yourself to get a copy of Giuseppe's book, Franchise Freedom. Download your free copy at ggthefranchiseguide.com/book. 2. Want to understand how successful executives make the transition from corporate to owning their own franchise? Join Giuseppe's next online presentation, Franchise Freedom: How to Escape the Corporate World and Have Financial and Time Freedom by Owning a Franchise, by going to ggthefranchiseguide.com/video. 3. Want to work with Giuseppe one-on-one to identify the right franchise opportunity for you, to navigate the process, and get plugged into experienced franchising advisors? Send him an email to gg@ggthefranchiseguide.com with one-on-one in the subject, and he'll send you all the details.